Let's join these joyful mixed media paper frogs into a banner. You can use this banner making technique with any collage elements that you have, or you can find the link to the art tutorial to make these little frogs in the description of this video. Leave a comment with other ideas of what you could assemble into a similar banner. I made the frogs as a bonus lesson after creating an art journal page with a scrapbook paper frog, so anyone wanting to create a similar art journaling page could add their own unique mixed media frog as the centerpiece. You can find the painted background lesson in the description as well, and thanks a bunch for clicking the subscribe button for more creative Solace Studios videos. I couldn't stop making these fun paper frogs once I started, resulting in today's project, how to create a ribbon banner with paper collage elements such as these frog pieces. Step number 1 is to assemble the frogs in an order that's pleasing to you. I started with what I wanted in the center and spread out anything that looked really similar to each other, so they weren't side by side but were separated a bit with other frogs in between them. I chose a thin ribbon to create my banner. You could use twine, a string, yarn, a strip of fabric, plastic lacing, cord, so many options. Lace would look really pretty too for a shabby chic vibe. Step 2 is to tie a knot at one end of the ribbon so it doesn't fray, and I left part of the ribbon without anything on it at the end. That way you have options. You can tie the banner onto something to hang it up. You could put a tack or a nail through the ribbon and let the end of it hang down for a pretty effect. The third step is really optional, and I used washi tape, you could use any type of tape, to test out the positioning of the frogs. I didn't want to glue everything down and then realize it didn't hang right. I found it worked best to position the tape horizontally as close to the top of the back of each frog as I could. That way the frogs hung in a balanced way. If they were secured with a lower positioning of the tape, they would have a tendency to fall forward head first, like they're doing a somersault, and wouldn't have laid straight when hung on the wall. I did lift each one up to check how it looked hanging before taping the next frog. In this way, it's easy to make adjustments, such as moving the tape higher up when needed or repositioning the spacing between the frogs. Washi tape is really good for things like this when you might be taping and untaping something or changing or rearranging things around. It would not be a good choice as a final adhesive in this project because it's not sticky enough to keep the ribbon attached permanently. Washi tape's also nice to tape around the borders of an art journal or junk journal page that you're painting, and then when the paint dries and you peel up and discard the tape, it leaves a nice clean white frame around your work, or as a resist in the middle of your painting. It's not quite as sticky to take off as masking tape. Now that we've gotten a ways into this project and you can see what it looks like, I'm curious to know what other ideas of things you would like to see hanging from a ribbon banner like this. What have you been brainstorming? Other paper critters? Miscellaneous vintage ephemera? Painted paper scraps? Quotes? Photos? Drop a comment to this video and share. This is a fun and versatile, easy project that could be used for many things. The only thing I wished I would have done differently was the center frog. I ended up displaying the finished banner with the ends and the middle frog tacked up higher, and then the ribbon draping downward in 2 dips like a stretched out letter W. Because of that, the middle frog ended up looking a little close to the frogs on each side, so I could have added a tiny touch more space between those frogs because the middle one ended up kind of looking like it was kicking the one next to it. You can see a picture of what I mean at the end of the video. It had to do with the way the legs of those 2 frogs were sticking out towards each other. After finishing the washi tape on all of the froggies, step number 4 is to cut the other end of the ribbon and tie a knot there as well. Liquid fray check is good for stopping the ends of ribbon or fabric from fraying or unraveling, and also a pinking shears or zigzag scissors would work and add interest if you were doing this project on a wider strip of fabric too. But we're not done yet. I'm not going to leave that washi tape in our finished design. Don't these frogs look fun together, dancing along and interacting with each other like they're having conversations and a good time? I like that I drew the eyes looking in different directions, so it looks like some are actually looking at each other and expressing different movements with their legs. Do frogs have arms and legs, or just legs? Just legs, I think. Although I keep wanting to say arms too, because they're standing up like little characters. Anyway, this brings us to the final step, step 5, which is to glue little paper strips over the tape. If you're using masking tape, it's more durable and longer lasting than washi tape, but it does dry and crack through time, especially in an arid climate, and you never know how long you might want to keep a project on display, so I use scrapbook paper and PVA glue, making sure that the paper strip was wider than the ribbon so that the ribbon would stay glued down securely. I took my time with this step, making sure that my little paper strips weren't visible from the front of the project and holding them down a bit for them to stick. Sometimes I tore off part of them if they were too long because I didn't want my scissors to get sticky from cutting through the glue. If you didn't want to bother with the washi tape step and wanted to jump right into this glue and scrapbook paper step, go for it. Customizing art projects to your own process and style is important. Adapt things to you. At this point, I'll skip ahead to an example of a frog that had the washi tape so close to the top of the back of the head that a wider piece of paper wouldn't fit over it when I went to glue it. When that was the case, I cut 2 strips of scrapbook paper, skinnier ones, and positioned them like the letter V, starting behind the eyeballs of the frog and then going down over the ribbon. So those are the 2 different styles of paper strip attachments that I used, making my way back through the frogs until they were all securely glued in place. Thank you so much for spending creative time with me today. I'm Kathleen Arola-Johnson, a mixed media art teacher with a bunch of other creative goodies waiting for you here at Creative Solace Studios. When you click on the Art Tutorials playlist, you'll find Art Journal, Junk Journal, Nature Journal, and a range of other mixed media content. The related videos that I mentioned earlier are linked in this description also. Check them out to learn how to create these whimsical frogs in the first place that are jumping for joy, and also to create a painted art journal page background that you could use as a background for one of these frogs. When you tap the subscribe button too, it'll be easier for you to find more videos in the future. Much gratitude for sharing this space with me today and creating a happy way to display frogs or other artistic creations that you come up with on a ribbon banner for the wall.